Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're grateful that you can join us for another week.
We sure are.
And today we have Randa Sultan. She is an international best-selling author, energy healing, transformational coach, and breathwork teacher. She's passionate about living life in alignment and supports women to find their place of inner calm, clarity, and confidence so they can live with more ease, joy, balance, and fulfillment. Her mastery lies in creating sacred, supportive, and nurturing spaces for women to find their way back to their inner light. In these spaces, she weaves together her extensive training and experiences in energy healing, breathwork, meditation, qigong, mindset, and life coaching to create a unique experience for each woman to heal and transform on the deepest level. She works one-on-one, in group, person, and remotely. And so I'd like to welcome, and I was really lucky because I got to participate in one of your things at the Banff Wellness Retreat. So that was really a treat. I really enjoyed that, doing the prana breath and things like that. So welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. And I'm grateful to be here. And may I just make one little comment? Qigong is spelled Qigong, and it depending on what language you're using. Sometimes people say Qigong. I usually say Qigong, and some people say Qigong, but I was taught. So if someone is listening and they want to understand what that is, if you've heard it as Qigong, then it's the same.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah. So you tell us a little bit about your story, how you got doing what you're doing, and a little bit about your practice.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's always many pathways that have led to the direction. I was born as an intuit. I'm an empath and an have intuitive sensory abilities. So like sensing the space in the room and being able to know, ooh, this is a safe space, or ooh, this feels sticky or heavy, and that sort of thing. And I think that's just kind of a side note. I think most of us are born with that piece. But knowing that and allowing that to, for the most part, guide me in my life, I was eventually drawn to an energy healer who is just a massage therapist. And she was like incredible. But then she would do this thing where she would just put her hand on me at the end and my hips would just realign. And I was like, you're magic. And then she disappeared from my life for a while, but in a very important time in my life when I really needed support, I found her. Not on purpose. Again, it was when we were just like looking up, I need someone to do a massage, and I was in the city. And so I found this woman and she sounded amazing. I went to her and I'm like, oh my God, you are meant to be. And she introduced me to the world that she had gone away and trained with and came back to, and drew me into this space of, you need to come here. And I dabbled in it and I was a little wary. And this ended up being this 2.5-year energy healing container. With Dr. Richard Jalusich, who is from California and would come up to Calgary because I'm from Canada. And he would train. And so I started on this path and I was like, oh, I don't know, it's kind of woo-woo. But then I kept going with it. And it ended up being a really deep soul journey for me. And then it got parked for a while. But my stepping stone into this space fully was actually a really big concussion that I had 8 years ago. And I have a whole other life that you would call, like, lots of studies, environmental science, a master's, 15 years in a career in hydrogeology, which was amazing, incredible. But I just kept getting redirected and literally redirected. Hey, let's pay attention to what really needs to heal. And then I started really diving into that world a little bit more for my own healing journey, as well as learning about Qigong, meditation, quiet, calm, inner peace, which I've always been able to find when needed, but it was like, no, you need more of this. You need more attention and spaciousness inside in order to create that. And so then I started doing it with others more so. And then eventually it became this thing that I was like more and more drawn to, saying, ooh, this needs to be shared. I live in a small community. I live in Golden, BC, gorgeous mountains everywhere. But there was no one else. And no one else was providing this. So I was seeking it out. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. What if I could provide this service for others? And it helped me heal along the way as well. So yeah, I just 7, 8 years ago, I started actually providing that service. And then I became more and more intrigued by what was happening with my clients and myself. And I'm like, the doctors were like, we don't know what to do with you. Just, chill and try these meds to heal your concussion. Nothing was working. But then they went away and did my thing, did the energy healers, did the qigong, did the breath work. And they kept back and they're like, I don't know, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it because that's working. Well, we don't know enough. So yeah, I mean, that's the lead up to where I'm at now, which has been a lot of inner growth and expansion and release and being able to show up to places like the Banff retreat and hold space where 60 people in the room are going through these deep, deep inner workings of shift. And for me to be able to hold that space and not get weighed down by that has been a many, many years of being able to work with, hold on space for other people to get there. And that just like, it lights me up.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was really, I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the like the breath, because I mean, we all have to breathe, right? And that's so important. But I mean, it just was so interesting, just breathing a little bit different and then shifting into that, kind of going that journey with the breath was really, well, emotional.
Yeah. And it can very well be. Breathwork I find fascinating. We all breathe, so like what, right?
Yeah.
But the style of breathwork that you are guided into is a transformative style of breathwork. It's a conscious connected breathing pattern. And that's one that you choose to say, okay, I'm ready to do the work. I'm ready to be carried on a journey here. And you're held. And personally, I only trust certain people to hold me in that sacred space. So the fact that you allowed yourself to go there just really gives me the insight that you are able to also tune into what feels safe to you.
Yeah.
True.
And
That's true.
where, yeah, and each person has a choice of where they're ready to go to. And if they don't feel safe, that's one thing that I feel is where I spend a lot of my time is getting women to feel safe, not only in their bodies, but to trust the areas in their life in which they feel safe in and they can feel more safe and embracing that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that inner journey. And I found that with the whole retreat was really nice because it was such a safe space. And I also pick up on people's energy. And when you came into the room and you're like, hey, we're going to do this, it was like, yeah, I feel good to trust her to, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for
wonderful
that.
for that. And it just was an amazing experience. And we're going to go again next spring. Mom's going to come.
Yay. Oh, you're going to?
I'm so excited. Yes.
Amazing.
And things didn't happen to go. So this time, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Doing it. Just doing it. I love it.
Absolutely. And I've seen your newsletters and things like that. And I really love, I actually was going to share one on my social media, on our social media. I was going to share it to that. And then I was like, oh, it's copyrighted. Oh, I better ask her permission first. So I was like, oh, I need to touch base. And I can't remember what it was, but it was just so moving what you had written in the newsletter that it really touched me. And I thought, oh, more people need to hear this.
Beautiful. But you remember what it was?
No.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, email streams and just there's so much out there that I find it really hard to filter through what's relevant to each of us and what is almost like noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I find that's one of the first things that I am really keen on guiding women into is how do we release the external noise? Like the stuff that maybe we have beliefs now that are not actually serving us, that we don't actually truly believe, but we've been told it so many times, or it was louder, the voice was louder, or repeated more when we didn't have the ability to say, I don't know if I believe that. And filtering through, just like really rummaging in there and being like, that doesn't work for me, toss that one. Okay, that doesn't work for me. How do I filter through all that to find out what's really important to me?
Yeah.
But being able to do that in real life, right?
So what would you suggest would be something that people could start with then to quiet down that noise and those things that we've heard all our life, and rather they're our beliefs or their adopted beliefs by other people giving them to us?
Learning how to tune into your heart space. So if we have a few moments, would you be willing to try something on?
Yeah,
Sure,
absolutely.
that'd be great.
Okay. Because our bodies have messages for us, and just sometimes we don't. Number one, a lot of us avoid dealing with the stuff because there's a lot of stuff in here, and we're like, what if it's messy? What if I don't know what to do with it?
Yeah.
But I strongly believe that inside each of us is our essence, and I call it the essence being this, and it belongs, like, I see it in the heart, so I'm very visual, so it's directly in the center core of your heart, and in that space is who you are at the core before all the information was coming in. And that center core piece is purity, it's light, it is truth for you, and I strongly believe it's never been touched. It's just sometimes we can't access that piece and we aren't able to feel into that space and really listen to it. So if we're willing to try something on, we can tune in a little bit and
Yeah,
go into that.
absolutely.
Okay. And a lot of the times what it comes up is being able to tune into that space and then just asking the question, asking yourself the question and seeing what happens. And then being able to learn your body's response and what it means. Because if you're like, "Ee," then that's actually maybe like, that's not right for me, or I need to pay attention to that piece. So yeah, why don't we try something on?
All right,
Perfect.
sounds awesome.
Right. Okay. So when I suggest bringing awareness inward, you can choose to close your eyes, or you can choose to just have a gaze downward so that you can bring your awareness into your body. And if we want to just start with bringing awareness without changing it at all into your breath. And so just noticing where the breath moves. Does it move in through your nose? Noticing which parts of the body are moving with your breath, which parts of the body are receiving the breath. With your inhale and with your exhale, just following it if you can with your mind's eye, imagining that breath moving in through the nose and down into whatever parts of the body are willing to receive it right now. And then following it back up and out. And when we're observing here, trying to just observe without judgment, just allowing your mind to trace it and noticing what moves, what doesn't. And in order to get us to a bit of a calmer, more supported space, let's bring awareness to whatever you're seated on, laying on, standing on, whatever you're doing right now. And bring awareness to what is supporting you from underneath. And knowing that whatever you are supported by right now physically is ultimately deep down beneath the foundation of the building or wherever you are is Mother Earth, and she is. She's there holding you, supporting you, if you let her. If you can allow yourself to just sink into that, knowing that you're supported from beneath, then just see what happens to your body. Can you allow yourself to soften into that? Then let's bring awareness to the heart space. Wherever your heart lives inside your body, bring awareness to that space with your mind, or you can place a hand over that part of your body. And see if you can really tune into, what does my heart look like? Like imagining an actual physical structure, color, texture, rhythm, physically connecting with it, with your breath, with your mind, with imagining and visualization, with intention. And then sending the question to this heart space. And just asking yourself, how does my heart feel right now? And tuning into any inner wisdom, any messages. And then asking your heart space, how does my heart want to feel? What's the deep desire in there? Keeping your focus in on your heart space and allowing any answers, wisdom to come forth for you. Then we'll ask the heart one more question. What do I need to allow my heart to get to that space where it wants to go? And then thanking your heart, wrapping your heart in gratitude and love here, and saying thank you. Thank you for the messages. Thank you for your inner wisdom. And thank you for all that you do for me. Perhaps placing a second hand over your heart or hands in prayer hands with gratitude before you choose to bring your awareness back into this space. Hmm. How did that feel for you?
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Very calming.
Yeah, and when we first started, my heart was kind of racing, and then just like a couple of breaths in and making that change to just notice your breath, which I love about those things, is
Yeah.
it just calmed my heart rate, just went right down. I
Yeah.
could feel it just kind of, okay, no, it's all right. I'm safe. I can just calm down. So that was very neat.
Beautiful. That's
Did you find any messages came for you?
Yeah, I kept seeing an owl, so which I thought was really interesting because I think that's all about knowledge and inner knowledge, and being open. But yeah, my messages were wanting to be loved, but being actually opening up myself to be able to be loved, allowing others to love me. And so that was really beautiful. That was messages I got.
Oh. Mine was interesting because I did a workout this morning, not as long as I wanted to, but I did. And I didn't realize until you said, look at the support below you. Well, as soon as I'm sitting on sort of like a pillow in a chair, and then all of a sudden I could feel my butt sore. And then when you said it, it was like, oh, now it's getting the peace it needs. Like it's resting, right?
Okay.
And so that made me feel supported.
Beautiful.
So then it went on from there for thinking about support and how I want to keep working with that in the future to enhance everything around me, your podcast, my readings, all the rest of it. So the support was in my heart because I feel some deeply in my heart. I'm a real heart person. I'm also an empath. And so I felt it deeply in my heart where I knew that I could do that. I knew that I have it already and I just need to be working with it some more. So, and I was grateful for you at the end. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. You're so welcome.
Thank you for sharing that. And I hope everybody follows along with it and we'd love to hear back the messages that people receive if
I would love that.
open to sharing them. Because
Yeah.
Yeah. So and you can use that exercise. I just threw out a very simple and basic way to tune in and say, okay, what's the message in my heart? But if you have another question, you can ask anything. You can be like, does this decision feel right for me? What is it about this decision that doesn't feel that what needs to be tweaked in order to make this decision right for me? That kind of thing. And you'll notice over time by learning, like that might live somewhere else. It might be fear living down in your lower belly or your back. And every single part of our body has a different message. So if we start to give it space to exist and tune in and not be so, and this is what happens with a lot of people is we fear the stuff that's in there. Like we all have experiences and trauma and emotions that are like, well, do I really want to open that can of worms? I don't know. The more we place that in a box, the more we say, okay, I'm okay. I'm actually okay. And for now, yeah, maybe you're okay, but there's stuff and it seems scarier and darker. It's like we shove it in the corner and it seems so much scarier and so much heavier and so much more fear around that piece that it gets harder and harder to give it space. And so and that's part of the breath, the breathing patterns that we were doing at the retreat was like, what if we were to actually say, I see you, I give you space to exist.
Mhm.
And in the ways that you're ready to reveal yourself to me or shift or move through me, let's go there.
yeah,
So it's the same way you can do that somatically. You can do that with your own guided breath. You can do that through meditation, through coaching, all of those pieces.
yeah. I love that. And I myself do meditate every morning, sometimes for 5 minutes if my monkey mind will,
Stop.
stop, and sometimes for longer, but I just find it makes me show up differently in the world, having that meditation and taking that time to just breathe in and just allow my mind to be as empty as it can be for that particular moment.
And it's different.
And I try not to judge myself, right? When your mind is
That's huge.
in monkey mind, it's like, okay, I had a thought, let it go. Let's try to get back. Let's concentrate on the breathing, right?
Yeah.
So it just, yeah. And I agree with you of putting all that stuff in the box. If we only just knew, if we just dealt with it little bits at a time, how much more freeing that would be for us.
Yes.
Totally. Yeah.
Oh,
And when you mentioned the meditation piece, can I chime in a little bit on that one?
Absolutely.
Because I find meditation so interesting. There's a lot of people are like, I can't meditate, right? And it's so hard. And it's true too. For some people, sitting is hard. For some people, the idea of meditation, it seems really scary because we have thoughts that go through our mind. So I think my Zen meditation master was like, there's 38,000 thoughts that go through your head. We're not trying to actually make them go away. That's not the point of meditation. The point of meditation is to one of two things. One, either find the space, like the milliseconds between those thoughts and be like, ooh, space. I'm noticing that. Space.
nice.
And those milliseconds are enough to actually give yourself permission to pay attention to the fact that, ooh, I did a millisecond of spaciousness. I'm able to do that. I'm able to become aware of that. And then the second factor you can think about when you're thinking of meditation is just bringing awareness to something else. So if you actually are like, I have the monkey mind, and you mentioned saying, well, if I can't, calm my monkey down, let's see how long I can do that for. Well, what if you just watch the monkey mind with curiosity and said, oh, that's an interesting thought. Where's that going? Well, I'm gonna fall. Like literally, I'm visualizing this. I'm like seeing these thoughts go somewhere. And another tip that I sometimes have for others is like, okay, well, I've got this thought. Let's see. That thought's doing this spinning thing. And when it spins, that's when we get stuck. But what if you were to observe the thought and say, oh, I see that thought. I've seen that thought before. What do I want to do with that thought? Okay, I can actually, so you're busy, but you're doing something different. So one visualization or one idea can be to take that thought and put it in a train. Like you got a train coming, it's coming up, you're the station. You throw that thought into the train and you're like, okay, cool, that train car is full. Okay, it's time for you to go. And then you watch that train move on. And then another thought comes. You're like, cool, next train's coming. Throw it in there. it can give you something to do with that thought.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, because you're right. Like some days some mornings I can do it and I'm just like, I can concentrate on my breath, and then other mornings it's like, oh, what am I going to do later in the day? Oh, did I pack for camping? Oh, I better not forget this. Oh,
Yeah.
your brain's just going all over, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I'm going to try that out. So thank you for
and that's the other thing I love Qigong about too. So some people, if they're just sitting trying to either focus on the breath or even doing a guided meditation, following someone's voice, and then you're like, oh, I'm with their voice and I'm with my voice, I'm with their voice. Qigong is a beautiful practice because you're moving too. So it adds something else you have to focus on. Like I'm actually physically moving my body. So it gives me something else to focus on. So for people with really busy minds who can't sit still or don't feel comfortable in that space, I find that moving meditation aspect or doing something different with that can really help to be able to get to that calm and grounded and clear state through another way.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great thing. I would agree with you, because then your mind is more focused on how your body's moving, right? And being present in that.
True. That's very true.
And I think that's the biggest thing about being meditating that I think people don't always understand is it's just about being aware of what's happening in your body, in your mind, in your heart, with your breath.
Out there, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I've been finding lately when I meditate, I've been doing as I go down, and as I keep going, when I lose it for a minute and the monkey mind starts, I do it again. And it's making me feel much better about meditating, and I'm feeling really at ease with it. So it's great.
Beautiful. So you're using chant to actually move that energy through and focus. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But I'm a music person too, so I started doing it. That makes sense to me because I'm physical all the time. I'm always moving and everything else. So yeah,
well, it's interesting when you said that, because when we started, you were saying about your throat before we started the podcast, and it's interesting because with the sound, for you to be kind of called to that is working your throat chakra, right? And manipulating that muscle if you're having issues there. So
yeah, but she might have called me that way, right? That's okay too. I like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and it helps open up your communication pathway. It's a different way of communicating and moving and vibrationally shifting the energy in your body in the ways that it needs. So I love that you already are like, this is what I need. My throat feels weird, that I'm going to chant. And I think most people have that innate ability, but they just lose it at some point. They stop allowing themselves to be guided by I crave to dance in the middle of the streets, but I'm not going to because people look at me funny.
I'm so bad for that.
We move away from the things that felt good because we were told they're not okay. And that's the external voice, the patterning, the belief shifting.
So do you think that more often than not, we should follow what our body, our mind, our hearts, or more so even just our heart is saying that we should be doing, right? Should we be moving more? Should we be dancing more?
Yeah. And so there's a bit of a funny space with that one when if someone's an empath, this is where I've struggled. And this is what I wrote the chapter in the book, Intuitive Living, which was, it was just one chapter in the book. But for my journey as an empath of being guided by the heart, yet not allowing, getting lost in that space too, because empaths automatically, as it looks like you might know, feel other people's stuff, right? And we're automatically wanting to hold them in love and allow them to heal. But for most of us that aren't skilled in what to do with that without losing a part of ourselves or giving them our heart and saying, okay, go, you need this more than I do, take it, and having attachments and drains, that being guided by the heart gets to be a muddled space for an empath. So tuning into your own heart and sometimes you do have to isolate for this piece if you are an empath, if you're not used to this, in order to say what's right for me and not let the second question be like, well, what's right for them? Because when you're in that energetic connection piece with somebody else, sometimes that overrides your ability to listen to what's right for you.
Mhm.
So you may need to tune into different parts of the body of just saying, okay, I'm feeling anxious. Like I'm feeling physically in my belly, something doesn't feel right. There's inner turmoil, there's confusion, I feel stuck. So sometimes it gets to being to the point of like a physical symptom that says, woof, okay, something is not working for me. So how do I get calm? How can I see more clearly, perspective wise, what's actually happening out there? And so for an empath, I'm going to say that tuning into the heart space gets to be a bit more challenging. So it may be more of a like actually asking your body the question, doing some journaling, doing some other way of tuning inward, getting someone else to, for a little while, support you and saying, okay, maybe we would need to release that attachment. What's true for you? Or asking the question in a different way so that your initial thought, which is your intuition, your what's right for you, doesn't get secondary questions overriding them.
True.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That does make,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that more and more people are realizing that a lot of people are empaths. And so that will be very handy for
lots of people.
a lot
Yeah.
of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also feel like probably the people you're drawing into your world and the people you'll meet at the retreats are very much those heart-centered,
Yeah.
beautiful, loving people that have a path and a journey to hold this space sacred and still walk alongside someone without getting drained.
And share. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
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 I think that's one thing that I love about being an energy worker and doing this kind of stuff is that you do make these connections with people that are like-minded. And that's one thing about our podcast is we get to share this with other people that, you know,
Yeah.
are either energy healers or interested in it, and creating that safe space for ourselves to
Yeah.
keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And energetically over time, creating an energetic boundary that holds the sacred space for you without you needing to create it and recreate it and hold it stronger.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
That's very true. Very true. I find with me lately, I question everything.
Uh-oh.
It just seems to be a path I'm traveling at the moment. I guess because I find there's so many people out there today when I'm out and about that give you information, but not always do they have done the homework that goes with the information they're filling you with. And so I find that if something in my mind goes, wait a minute, I find myself later trying to figure out, is it the truth? That type of thing. I mean, my mind never stops. I honest to God, poor Kimmy. She gets it. But it never stops. So I find that I am really questioning what people are telling me today, because I want to have my inner peace with me as much as I can. Disrupt it in any way. That's when I go, I got to find out about that. A jar for a minute. You know, I mean, okay, that didn't feel right. So
there you go. That's the one.
Go and find out what makes it feel right. Now I understand it the way I should understand it, and I can swallow that.
Yeah.
Accept it into my heart and my body too. So
you just brought it back to your throat. Did you notice that?
Right?
Yeah, you just brought it back to your throat. And I was just thinking that as you were saying, you're like, okay, my heart automatically is this big, beautiful over, like it's your dominant chakra. So this is the way you work. This is how you function in the world. But your mind is now so busy. But the pathway, but these are two drawing. They're drawing away from your throat. And this is why you're drawn to keep connecting back in with your throat. And the only way this is going to stop is to open this pathway of communication and self. So this is your communication and your direction system, right?
Yes.
And so you're confused because this is not open and clear. So then you need to actually connect it further down
Okay.
into your third chakra, into your power center and your truth center.
Okay.
So that you gain more of that. So that's where you're going to be looking for your answers for you.
Thank you.
Down in there. Yeah, sorry. Just like you're saying throughout, you're swallowing, you're like busy, just even it out.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will work on that. That helps me a lot.
That's wonderful. So can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah. My name is Randa Sultan, as you know, but my business name is Sacred Prana Healing. So I am on a website, sacredprana.com, Instagram, Sacred Prana Healing, Facebook, Sacred Prana Healing. Where else am I? I suppose the two places. I physically live in Golden, BC, and we actually just opened up a healing center here a few months ago, which is so exciting. So if you're, what's that?
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, and you know what the basis of this is creating a sacred space for people to come to heal mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So we have 4 rooms: body, mind, heart, and soul. And it's just like, it's that vision of creating a sacred space within, and everyone needs a sacred space outside. So then we've created a space for everyone to come to feel that way somewhere in their life. So yeah, about half of my clients are online. We either do energy work, we do breath work, we do coaching. It's mostly transformational coaching containers within which most who come to me are struggling with some sort of inner turmoil. They're not comfortable, something's changing for them, or something, they have become aware that this discomfort is not serving them anymore. And they're like, I can't do this. I either have new kids and I can't have them see me fail, or I've just moved to a new place and I just can't, something's wrong in my relationship and I'm being mirrored and projected upon, and this isn't my truth anymore. So really, it's some sort of discomfort inside, which doesn't always have a name. And that's the part that's really hard, is like, I don't know, something's wrong, but I'm okay, but I'm not okay. And that's when people come to me, we're like, I'm done with not being okay. And I want to know what that feels like to be okay again. So yeah, that's how you find me. And that's, I also have, if you liked that little heart-centered connection piece, I do have a living in alignment course, which covers off how to tune in, how to get calm, how to tune in, how to actually make intentional and decisions that are right for you, and prove to yourself that you know how to make those right decisions and gain confidence over time.
Very nice.
And I also have a free embodied light meditation, which allows you to tune in. This will be really good for you on that 3rd chakra and getting it to expand. And it's a bit of a longer meditation, so it's 18 minutes. So it's kind of, I love it, and it's worthwhile to try on. It actually includes part of that piece of tuning in, but energetically expanding yourself from the inside and getting that energy from within, your light, your essence, to create a container for you to feel energetically safe within.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
And they
and
can
that's all.
that through your website then?
Yeah, and they can find the link to that in the bio off Instagram as well.
And I highly recommend getting your newsletter, because it's always very lovely, and it's very, because it's very soft. Like soft energy. I don't know how else to explain it, but it always makes me feel very peaceful when I read it, and it's very insightful. And I like some of the things that you write on there that just really hit me. Like I said, I read one and I can't even remember what it was now.
It's like summer solstice, the summer solstice supermoon baby thing. That one was a very personal piece.
Very calming to talk to. So it's very much a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Yes, and it's called Intuitive Living.
Yeah, it's actually a collaboration of 20 different stories of women and a couple men, actually, learning how to tune in to their own inner wisdom and how this is practically can be applied in different ways in your life. So this is off Amazon. It's literally Intuitive Living, a practical guide to tuning in. Women who want to deeply trust themselves. So the personal raw piece of my vulnerability story, one of them is in there. But yeah, it's all sorts of walks of life. So there's something for everyone to learn from. And no, these are real people in the real world who are just like, you know what, you're not alone.
Nice.
That's the biggest thing.
And that's always a nice thing to know, is that
It
you
is.
aren't alone, right?
It is, especially as
Yeah.
we in life in that time, that as well, because I hear that about my mother a lot. She's 91 and she's, alone and this and that. And I say, you're never alone, Mom.
You still have a grandma?
I do.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
we're going to have her on here one of these days.
Yay. Yeah.
And let her speak her piece too, sort of thing. So that'll be nice. But thank you for sharing with us.
Yes, thank you. And really appreciate you taking the time and doing the nice guided meditation with the breath for people. And I really appreciate that. And hopefully you'll be at the Banff Wellness Retreat when you're there.
And come back.
I may be. We'll see. So nice to connect with you, and thank you for asking me. I really feel honored that I get to be a part of this, and I love what you're doing and sharing with the world. So keep doing it.
Thank you. You're welcome back anytime and share more knowledge with people. So
Absolutely.
Sounds lovely.
all right. So everybody can follow, share us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you next week.
You betcha.
Bye.
Bye.